I'd like to thank Playvig.com for sponsoring this video and helping me a ton through the adpocalypse. So Playvig itself is a platform that allows players of all different levels to win prizes such as cash by completing single player quests or by competing in tournaments, which are in fact added every single Friday. Currently, they are giving away $10,000 in guaranteed prize pool money for tournament prizes between November 15th and December 31st. So now is really good a time as any to give it a try. So maybe I'll see you there. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about AimbotCalvin playing McCree, and for a long time, Calvin didn't really play much McCree. I mean, he kind of went to more Soldier, Widow, and everything like that because McCree was really not in that great of a spot. But finally, he's been starting to play him quite a bit more, which I think is just kind of a testament to saying that McCree finally is a pretty viable pick. Now, maybe if you aren't that great at hit scan, you should still probably play Soldier. He's a lot more consistent with a lot less skill needed. But if you want to become a McCree main, now is obviously, and yeah, really the time that you might want to go back into it and play a lot of this character. Now, unfortunately for the offense of this round, Calvin only plays Widowmaker, so I can't really show any of that because I want to talk about McCree. But for the long defense, we see him playing McCree, and honestly, this is one of my favorite games that I've seen Calvin play in a long time. As well, I'm going to say that his crosshair is not a dot. It's more of a just really short crosshair with a hole in the middle. Personally, I feel like that's better. You can aim up shots more, and you can just get neck shots a lot easier. So that's kind of what he does. You can try to use that if you want to. Now, at the beginning right here, we see him, of course, going next to the Orisa shield. You should pretty much always be trying to do this. But before that, he also used the rock next to him to cover in and out of. You kind of want to make sure that you're actually next to like a rock or a wall, even when you are next to the Orisa shield, because sometimes that shield might go down, and that sucks for you. Right here, of course, the D.Va jumps immediately on him. He starts to focus on her instead of trying to focus on the support that was way in the boonies. I mean, he could have, and he went for a few shots, but mainly focusing again on the D.Va. Tried to keep his Mercy safe, but unfortunately, she got taken down. And yeah, right here is just not going way too well for his team. He's trying to pop off, trying to kill everybody. 1, 2, 3, kills that guy. 1, 2, 3, kills that guy as well. Finally, the Winston. You see, he runs out of bullets right here and cancels his ultimate to get more bullets, and then pops off and kills the Genji. That's just one of my favorite things I've ever seen. And yeah, that's a thing that I guess you can do. And yeah, often during that fight, he did go for a lot of headshots, but as well for many body shots, especially after hitting the E, he goes for a headshot and then a body shot because that's just the safer option to go for. And, you should always be going for neck shots, but that can work. Again, right here, they're continuing pushing up. One thing that he did do after destroying the enemies was go back and use a health pack to heal, because maybe a tracer could have got on him or something. And, as always with DPS, you kind of want to get a little bit of just, I guess, pressure off your supports and use any health packs that you can, just whenever you can, because really, just why not? As well, something I should mention is that he didn't really push up after he got that kill. He backed off, he went next to his teammates and waited for the tanks. I think they switched to a D.Va Winston setup, so now, of course, he has to play a lot further back, and that's something you might want to keep in mind. If you're playing McCree and you have a Winston D.Va, it does work. If you're really good at the character, you can pull it off. You just have to play a lot further back, get a little bit more healing, and mainly play around walls literally all the time. Otherwise, you're going to die a lot. You can't really stay next to your tanks anymore, which is kind of hard, and unfortunately didn't really work well to him for this point, but on the next point it works out fine. It is just, kind of difficult for this character, and unfortunately his team doesn't win on this point. Calvin gets picked off from the D.Va, and I guess that's the thing you should keep in mind as well. D.Va can murder you 1v1, so what you should be trying to do, unless her rockets are down, then you can probably beat her, but what you should be trying to do is to just run away from her and make sure that she overextends, and then turn back and kill her. You can 1v1 just about any tank in the entire game if you have heals, but if you don't have heals, if you don't have teammate support, McCree can't really do that. He doesn't have that heal pack. He doesn't have anything like that. So you just have to stay back a little bit and wait for heals because you are a damage dealer, and that's just about it. Something we saw right there, I guess that's kind of important, is that oftentimes he is actually just, again and again, on defense on the second point, trying to take high ground. And it works out pretty well. Right here, of course, backs off quite a bit. He stays out in the open a lot, which actually works out decently well for him. Unfortunately, he eventually gets picked off from a really lucky Zen orb, but whatever. That's the thing you might want to do, is to actually just kind of stay out in the open when the enemies are really far out to get some pretty nice shots that, they really can't hit you back from. But once they start to push up a lot, then of course, get next to your team, get next to walls, and become a lot more safe, just kind of depending on how far away they are. I think I was trying to say earlier, though, is that oftentimes he is actually on high ground, but the second that the enemy tanks dive him with the rest of their team, he backs off and just tries to either run away or jumps off high ground or anything to stall for time to get teammates help, anything that he can possibly get, because again, yeah, McCree, it's going to be a little bit awkward to try to play around those characters, but you can. It just is kind of awkward. Here we see something that's pretty cool. Of course, staying to the side of his team. And he does this quite a bit also. For the most part, he doesn't really fight with his team, like directly next to them, next to the tanks, next to the other DPS, like where a Reaper would. He fights pretty far off to the behind, often, you know, just one way or the other, even just directly behind the enemies or to the side, and just tries to stay alive for as long as humanly possible, and tries to stay further enough back that the enemies can't just ignore his tanks and dive directly onto him. All right, here again, triple shot. If you get good enough in McCree, I feel like honestly you can carry almost just about any game. Now, some games you can't because your team is just throwing away the game, but in a lot of cases you can, such as this one in which Calvin is just, again, stomping. And that can just be a testament to how strong this character can be and to how safe he can be if you play really far back. But you do have to remember that you do kind of need to not die, so you have to play really safely. As well, he doesn't really ever go for way too many fan the hammers, so, I mean, if you want to keep that in mind, you can. Of course, going for your E and then fan the hammer can be a good idea if you aren't way too skilled as this character and if you're just trying to pick him up for a few games, but otherwise, almost every single time he just tries to E, headshot, or E, headshot, body shot. Right there goes for a fan the hammer, because against Winston, you pretty much always want to do that. But against most other characters, you don't really. Goes for a nice ultimate right there, essentially stopping anybody that wants to get onto the point. Unfortunately, he doesn't kill someone. Actually, no, never mind. He does right there. It just barely ticks it off at the end. But even if you can't get a kill with your McCree, oftentimes just reloading or forcing people off the point for a little bit or setting time for your teammates, that's worth it in itself. And that's the things that I guess a lot of people don't really think about, but I mean, it's there and it's something that you should be trying to do. Calling out for his teammates where the enemies are is also a thing that I think is that's the thing you should do that most people don't. That is why he's doing so well this game. A lot of the time, the enemy tracer is not actually going for Calvin or for anybody next to him. She's staying away and trying to get picks way off in the boonies where he can't really counter her. And that's okay. If that happens to you, just call out where the tracer is, where she's been going, and try to keep tabs on her so that she can't really just walk through your team while your team isn't really next to you. And as well, if your team keeps having a lot of problems with someone like a tracer or Genji, call out to your team to come next to you so that you can peel for them. You have to call it out in chat. I know that you shouldn't really have to, but I mean, it works, and that should be something you try to take for yourself. Right there again, pops off, gets a triple kill. Yeah, that's nice. As well, though, if you do make sure to call out that, you know, support should be next to you, it can essentially just make so that your supports are invincible for a while, except for, you know, tanks diving on you. But, you know, you can back off, your supports can follow, and kind of go like that, and that can kind of work for you as well. During this game, Calvin has died a few times. I mean, he's really far back, though, so the enemy, whenever they kill him, essentially have to go 1-for-1. But by staying so far back, he also gives his team the benefit that he can get a free res, and that's about it. If Mercy doesn't have to die getting a res, that can win you the team fight. Unfortunately, just gets blasted by a soldier right there, but look how far back he is. He can get resed, not way too much the enemies are going to do about it, and he can just keep on stomping from far range. Right here, he doesn't decide to go up on the stairs because there's a soldier next to there. That's a pretty good idea, just damaging the shield the most that he possibly can. There's a pick that he almost got there, but of course the Zen heal comes out, so whatever. You got to go for what you got to go for. As always, he is prioritizing whoever he can, but right here, he backs off, tries to go next to the wall so that, you know, if he takes enough damage, he can hide around the corner and stay alive from there. Unfortunately, Azaria shows up, but he takes him out anyways, and it works out pretty fine. I think just generally, again, what he does is stays off to the side and stays alive, because if he was next to his team right there, there's always the chance that maybe like a Genji blade will come out or a McCree will come out or something that can just wipe a lot of his team, and if he's next to them, that just kind of sucks. But if he's not next to them, he always has the potential to carry and just climb out of the elo, whatever, just climb out of that game that he's currently in. As well, I should say that his ultimates are often used to just try to pressure the enemy shields so that they have to back off. It gives, on defense, him an extra, like, 6 or 7 seconds. So, in a lot of cases, that's good enough as well for your ultimate. It's not really something that you have to get a lot of kills. Right here, I think he accidentally falls off, so, whatever. But he does the best with the situation. He walks up the stairs and gets behind the enemies. He already did this once, so, can probably work again. Waits until they start to push up. Unfortunately, they have a pick on his team, but he gets a pick on the Zen. Zen did not see that coming, and now he has the high ground. Now he has a really good advantage point, and he can just ult, try to take off the Mercy. If you get a solo ult on Mercy, it's always worth it, by the way, so always take that. And again, pops off, kills 3 of them, and does try to eventually get pretty close because you don't want any of your damage fall off to be falling off on your damage. And there we go. Calvin finishes off the match with the rest of his team on defense, and it was a victory. On offense, they also got through pretty quickly, but it was with Widowmaker, so I'm sorry that I couldn't show that. But in general, I think that's how you should try to play McCree for the most part. Now, you can get a little bit closer on certain King of the Hill maps, but you really shouldn't unless unless your flashbang's up. Then maybe you can. But if you stay safe, and if you stay smart, and if you have really good aim, you can do this too, and I really feel like anybody can. As far as practicing McCree aim, what I think is the most important thing to do is, of course, just play games and don't be afraid to pick up this character. That's the thing you should try to do. Also, play with bots, and do that weird thing where you're just fighting and shooting bots at the neck that are like Anabots that can't hit you and you turn on headshots only. That can work pretty well. Overall, there's a lot of ways to improve this character, but really just start to play him. I know that it's going to be a daunting task because McCree is one of those characters that you think you're just going to suck as, and then you play a game, and you kind of do because he's just so hard. But if you keep playing him and if you keep enjoying him, you'll eventually start to climb up and eventually start to do really, really well. And I think in a lot of cases, if you're good enough with this character, you can climb a lot faster than you could trying to do it with Soldier. While I do think you can climb with both characters, and while I think Soldier is a more consistent climb that takes a lot less skill to, do well as, McCree, I think in the long run, can be nicer for yourself, and overall, in my opinion, is more fun to play just from his playstyle, but that is just me. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. If you learned anything, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below about it. And as well, if you want to see any certain character in the future, please make sure to leave that as well. Thank you all for watching, though, guys. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, have a wonderful day.